You know, it was interesting. The most emotional that he got during the entire sentencing was when that big production music video style piece of evidence was played for the judge. That was the 11-minute video of highlight reel showing really this is your life, P. Diddy style, all the things that he did with his family and philanthropically. And then when he saw his children, his mother, he really sobbed uncontrollably, head in his hands, his eyes were red. And this was right before lunchtime. This is right after his children got up to speak, 6 of his children, and most of them were extremely emotional. The girls, the twins, as well as Chance, were crying and just really wanting the judge to bring their father home to them. During that period, he was just listening intently to them. No outward emotion from Combs in that aspect, but it was the video really that got to him. And when he was speaking to the judge directly, his voice was shaking. You could tell he was nervous. He took several deep breaths before he started. Everything was written down on a white-lined piece of paper. Looked like he had penned it from behind bars, and it was different from what we heard from him last night, because there was a 4-page, 1,100-word letter that he sent to the judge last night as part of the whole sentencing appeal that was to the judge. This was different. This was more from the heart. He took accountability for his actions. He apologized to the victims. He apologized to any victim of domestic violence, and really had strong words for himself, saying that he hated himself and what he had done. And really today was about showing that he could give himself, that he wanted a second chance for himself, and that he had demonstrated that from behind bars already, since he's been counseling inmates and helping them through their struggles as well, uniting his unit at the MDC, which had been extremely violent and volatile, and there had been no violence since he got involved with the group and really brought people together.
Game with Diddy.
Yeah, and then one other thing that we learned that was surprising, I hadn't heard, they were talking about the horrible conditions inside of the MDC, which
we've heard that before.
On. And this specifically from his defense attorney, Brian Steele, said that he actually had his life threatened in a big way at one point when a guard pulled off another inmate off of Sean Combs, and he was holding a shank. So at one point, he had his life really flash before his eyes behind bars. This is the realities that he'd been dealing with for the past 12 months, and I think it's 7 days that he's been behind bars, and now he'll be moving to another prison somewhere, maybe closer to Florida.
I think in hindsight, there was never anything that the defense team was going to be able to say that was going to tremendously sway this judge. He signaled throughout this trial and during all of these proceedings that he took the allegations and the evidence of abuse and domestic violence against Combs seriously. And he made those comments today. There's a couple of quotes that he read during the sentencing that I think are worth noting. He said, quote, "A history of good works can't wash away the record of this case. The evidence of abuse with respect to freak-offs and hotel nights is massive. This is hard time in prison, away from your family, friends, and community, but you will have a life afterward." Spending 3 years in prison with the year he's already been in, 85%.
58 years old when he gets out.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is that he doesn't have his children with him, and he's got a 2-year-old baby at home. She's growing up without her father. He grew up without a father at that age. So kind of history repeating itself in a way, and this is why they say he suffered all of this traumatic stress as a child, and it really exhibited itself into adulthood. Guys, back to you.
Send it back to you.
All right, thank you guys. We want to thank you for all your hard work out there, gentlemen.